Hey guys, it's Spoonie, and I'm back with another DC Dollar Store Deluge video. Now this is actually going to be part one of a two-part series. In part one, I'm going to be taking a look at books that haven't really shown off before that I'm choosing to read to understand the new books, which I have in part two. So I'm going to start off with some New 52 Green Lantern. I've got volume 1 here, which is called Sinestro. It collects the first 6 issues of this New 52 run. I'm a big fan of Jeff Johns' run on this character. I've been reading since back in the day with Green Lantern Rebirth #1. So going into this as a fan with knowledge, this was actually a really cool read. We get to see that Sinestro is actually probably one of the greatest Green Lanterns in history. And there are seeds of a plot line that's kind of building under the surface. But a great deal of the book is just about the sort of teamwork between Hal and Sinestro, and there's this kind of begrudging mutual respect between the two. Now, trying to look at this from the perspective of somebody who's new to comics, or maybe somebody who's new to Green Lantern and jumped on at the beginning of New 52. While I think the writing and art are great, and I think they'll be an enjoyable read for most people, I think it does hurt if you do not have a knowledge of the pre-Flashpoint storylines, the Sinestro Corps War, and the Blackest Night. And the next Green Lantern book is New 52 Green Lantern Volume 2, The Revenge of Black Hand, and it collects issues 7 through 12 and the Green Lantern Annual #1. Now, right off the bat, this is another book that's hampered by you needing to have read Blackest Night to fully understand what's going on here. So the basic story is that Sinestro has been captured by the Indigo Tribe. Now, the Indigo Tribe is all about compassion and reform. And at the end of Blackest Night, Black Hand disappeared seemingly, but he was captured by the Indigo Tribe. So the Indigo Tribe comes for Sinestro to make him atone for his past. Hal needs to break him out, and along the way, we learn the origins of some of the Indigo Tribe stuff. First of all, they keep saying Knock. Not only is that the name of their homeworld, but in their language apparently means compassion be with you. Now, there is a bit of a big reveal as we find out that the Indigo Tribe was partly created by Abin Sur. Abin Sur was supposed to be one of the greatest Green Lanterns, and he was the alien who crashed to Earth and died, but not before giving his Green Lantern ring to Hal Jordan. The Indigo Tribe is actually made up of some of the most vicious killers from throughout the galaxy. Abin Sur's goal was to create kind of a rehabilitation program where these people would be forced to feel compassion and deal with the consequences of their actions. And it's actually shown to be effective, as when the Indigo power battery goes offline, several of the Indigo members, now having their free control returned to them, choose to embrace the path of compassion. Anyways, while Hal is busting Sinestro out of the Indigo Tribe, the Black Hand also escapes. He ends up killing himself to gain access to a black power ring, and uses that to disappear. The Guardians of the Universe's plans are revealed. They intend to replace the Green Lantern Corps with what they call the Third Army. The first army they built was the Manhunter robot. The Manhunters were scrapped after they destroyed an entire sector of space due to the lack of emotion. The second army is obviously the Green Lantern Corps, and lately the problem they've been finding with them is willpower, more specifically free will. So they decided to replace them with the Third Army. These are organic beings that can convert other organic beings into the same type of creature. They lose all intelligence and rational thoughts and sort of join a hive mind that is controlled by the Guardians. The Guardians show up and actually give Black Hand more power, so he's able to send Sinestro and Hal into some sort of realm of the dead. Their power rings leave them before they're sucked in, so Hal is going to be finding a replacement, and I do believe they showed a picture of Simon Baz in this issue. Moving on, we have the DC Rebirth era Justice League stuff. The first one is Justice League Volume 1, The Extinction Machines, and it collects the Justice League Rebirth one-shot and issues 1 through 5. Now, this is written by Brian Hitch. He previously did a Justice League, I think it was a 12-issue maxi series that featured the god of Krypton, Rao, coming to Earth. So it's another Justice League team formation story. Basically, what's happening is these giants called the Extinction Machines. There's one that represents the Speed Force, one that represents the Lantern color spectrum, one that represents all of magic, and one that represents Starlight. I guess because characters like Superman are solar powered and characters like Starman or Stargirl have a cosmic rod. Brian Hitch has previously done penciling work on The Authority, and I feel like he picked up a couple things working on that title because for me, this does kind of have an Authority vibe to it in the sense of a grand scale. An interesting element in this book is the new team dynamic. Hal Jordan is gone, and in his place are two inexperienced and rookie Green Lanterns. And more importantly, this isn't the version of Superman that these characters are used to dealing with. They're used to the New 52 Superman who died at the end of the New 52 era. It turns out that the pre-Flashpoint Superman had been hiding out the whole time with his wife and kid, and that leads to a lot of trust issues with Batman. He wonders how this version of Superman could have just hid while things like Darkseid invading Earth, or the Earth 3 attack, or when Atlantis attacked. The Extinction Machines do make a vague reference to some kind of event that's going to be happening in the future. Apparently, they were trying to prepare the Earth for something. I'm guessing this is leading towards the Doomsday Clock event, but I have no idea. Following up on that, I have Justice League versus Suicide Squad. This collects Justice League versus Suicide Squad miniseries 1 through 6, issues of Justice League number 12 and 13, issues of Suicide Squad number 9 and 10, and a backup story from Suicide Squad number 8. So this story is a bit of a retcon in the sense that this is now, in the DC Rebirth at least, this is the first time the Justice League learns about and meets the Suicide Squad. The gist of the story is that Amanda Waller needs the Justice League's help. Apparently, one of the earlier incarnations of the Suicide Squad has escaped and are coming for her. So you get the kind of typical, the teams, they meet up, they fight, and then they realize they're on the same side. Anyways, the OG squad was put back into action by Maxwell Lord. He used his metahuman abilities to telepathically influence them into doing what he wanted. And apparently the whole thing was just a plan to break into Belle Reve, which is the headquarters of Task Force X, and steal the Eclipso stone, and therefore turning himself into Eclipso and enslaving the heroes and villains around him. Now, Eclipso was the original spirit of vengeance in the DC universe. Apparently, he was just too wild and uncontrollable, so God replaced him with the Spectre. And I guess he's been imprisoned in some kind of gemstone or something. I don't know if that's still the case in the Rebirth era. So the two teams save the day. Maxwell Lord is captured and put into a special cell in Belle Reve, where they totally pull a Wolverine and reveal that Maxwell Lord is going to be drafted into Task Force XI, meaning Task Force X was Task Force 10 the whole time. After everything, a couple of the villains of the original squad escape and they swear vengeance on Amanda Waller. And a couple of them Batman recognizes for their efforts for appearing to have changed and reformed in some way, and he ends up drafting them into a new version of the Justice League, which leads into the next book in this video. which is Justice League of America, as opposed to just the Justice League. Now, I have the deluxe hardcover edition here. It collects Justice League of America Rebirth number 1, Justice League of America number 1 through 7 of the ongoing series, and then it has a bunch of one-shot specials focusing on some of the new team members. So there is Justice League of America The Atom, Justice League of America Vixen, Justice League of America The Ray, and Justice League of America Killer Frost. Now, the story in this one features this newly formed Justice League of America team going up against a group of villains called the Extremists. Now, the Extremists were a group of characters from an alternate universe. They were basically analogs to all the major Marvel villains. Lord Havoc, the leader, is very obviously influenced by Doctor Doom. Die Hard, I think is his name, is Magneto. You've got a Sabretooth there. And they recently added 2 new characters, some kind of version of Green Goblin and some kind of version of Juggernaut. Batman catches Lord Havoc by the end of it, and he imprisons him in some kind of cell, I guess potentially to get information out of him in the future. The highlight of this book was really seeing this new team come together and start to work together and trust each other. I feel like the highlight characters in these stories are definitely Lobo, just because if you know Lobo, he's always entertaining, and Killer Frost, who is now going by the name Frost. I really kind of like the redemption arc they've got going on in here. They've definitely turned her into a more tragic and sympathetic character. I don't know if this is based off the portrayal on the CW Flash show. I like the Extremists. I think they're a cool concept. And the idea that Batman has Havoc prison at the end has me intrigued as to the reasons why. I've got the normal edition of Justice League of America Volume 2 here. It's called Curse of the King Butcher. It collects issues number 7 through 11. Even though I didn't think either story was very good, I like the fact that over the 5 issues collected here, there are actually 2 stories, a 2-issue and a 3-issue story. That's something you don't see a lot these days because everything's all decompressed. The first story is the 2-issue story. Basically, the team goes to the Savage Land and finds Kazar, or whatever the DC equivalent is, and they try to bring him back, and he's too wild. And the second storyline features the character known as the King Butcher. Apparently, he's come to Earth and he is granting people's wishes, but it's one of those monkey paw things where be careful what you wish for. We're going to jump back over to the core Justice League title with Volume 4, Endless. This collects issues number 20 through 25. I love this trade. There were about 3 different stories in here, and they were all pretty good. You got some highlights like character moments between new Green Lantern Jessica Cruz and Wonder Woman. And maybe most notably, this kind of ties into the events of what were going on in the Aquaman Rebirth at the time, where Aquaman was deposed as King of Atlantis. And Mera is looking for a purpose. She feels like she doesn't belong under the water, but also she doesn't belong in the land. So they tell her she belongs in the Justice League. So I guess she's kind of the replacement Aquaman until the next movie comes out and they have to realign the team. And the final book of the video is going to be New 52 Batgirl. This is Volume 4, Wanted, and it collects Batgirl's issue number 20 through 26, and it also collects Batman the Dark Knight, issue number 23.1, focusing on the new ventriloquist villain. So Barbara's brother, James Gordon Jr., is actually a psychopathic serial killer, and I'm guessing in Volume 3 she had to kill him out of necessity. So Volume 4 here is her being hunted by the police, and most notably her father. This definitely feels like I picked it up in the middle of the story. As I said, apparently her brother died, but I did not get that information without having read those issues. So I'm kind of just piecing it together here. The last issue of the book is also actually a Batman Zero Year tie in. It kind of shows what inspired Barbara to become Batgirl. During the 0 year flooding, she basically took some of her father's police gear and hit the streets and started saving people, and she took down a couple looters and stuff like that. Anyways, that's it for this one. I want to apologize to you guys again and thank you for your patience and waiting for this. As I said, I had some personal issues that were going on, but I'm looking forward to getting back into the swing of things. Also, by watching this, it gives you a preview of sort of what might be in the next video. And I definitely encourage you guys to come back and check that out because I have some big plans regarding this particular Deluge series that I want to share with you guys. So don't miss it, and I'll see you there. Bye.